Hi, my name is Mark Michelson. I'm the brass repair technician at Arrowhead Music in Mentor, Ohio. And today I'm going to be talking to you about how to properly care for your trombone, how to clean and maintain it on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. We'll be going over the supplies that you need, the cleaning brushes, the oils, the slide grease, everything that you need in order to make sure that you can be making beautiful music on your trombone for as long as possible. So let's get started. Okay, so daily trombone maintenance. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take care of your hand slide. And there's a few different ways you can do this. There's lots of products out there to take care of your trombone hand slide. There are oils, sometimes, like there'll be like a spray. There's also creams that you can get. My personal favorite, by the way, I'm not endorsed by them. I just like their product. This is called Slido-Mix. See if I can get that to Slido-Mix All-in-One Rapid Comfort. So oils are usually the easiest to use, but creams tend to work a little better. For the oils, all you do is, this is either an oil or a spray. Pull the slide out just a little bit and just give a little spray. And then you want to work the slide kind of in and out. And that's pretty much it. But again, I tend to use creams or thicker products like the Slido-Mix. I recommend also, if you're going to go with the creams, get a little bottle of spray. This is just water, a little spray bottle of water. So here's how you use the creams or something like Slido-Mix. You gently pull the outer slide out, and you're going to take a soft cloth. You're going to wipe off any remaining residue, any old dirt and grime, anything like that. And with this stuff, you literally just follow the instructions on the bottle. You shake it up just a little bit. And this last 5 inches or so, those are called your stockings. That's where you would put the cream. In this case, this just kind of drops onto your slide like that, and sometimes it gets a little messy, but you don't need a whole lot. Put a little bit on the slide. When you go to put the inner slide back on, you want to make sure, this is your slide lock right here, you want to make sure that's on the same side as this. Basically, this slide lock is going to be on the opposite side of your water key. So when you put this back in, you want to be very careful. These tubes are very thin. They're very easy to bend and get dented. So very carefully, you want to line these up after you've put the cream or oil or whatever on your trombone slide, and you want to work this back and forth. Now, it's recommended that you reapply this once a week, but every day that you play, take your little bottle of spray water and just give a couple sprays. This will keep the hand slide moist, and that's what you want. You want a wet slide. Once the creams start to dry out, your hand slide is going to start to slow down. So if you use the creams or the Slido-Mix every day, use the spray bottle and then just reapply the cream once a week. So now that you have your hand slide taken care of, you can take your slide section and your bell section, and this longer side right here, that's where the bell's going to go. And to assemble that, when you go to put it together, you want, imagine that you're going to be, here, let me angle this up just a little bit better so you can see it. You want this to be kind of like a backwards L shape as you look down the slide. And then this can get tightened on like so. Like that. And then your mouthpiece, all you do is you insert it gently into the receiver, push this way just a little bit, and give it like a little quarter turn. Never, jam on it like that. That can get it stuck. If your mouthpiece does get stuck, don't try and yank it out with pliers or anything like that. It's really easy to pull your trombone apart if by trying to get a stuck mouthpiece out. Just take it to your local music shop. We can remove these for free 9 times out of 10, and most of the time it takes less than 30 seconds. I would rather pull a stuck mouthpiece for free in 30 seconds rather than trying to reassemble your trombone that was ripped apart by 2 people who didn't know what they were doing. They were pulling on opposite ends, or maybe somebody took some pliers and tried to yank this out and they tear apart their hand slide. Just take it to the shop. We can remove these for free. So anyways, now that you've been playing for a few minutes, the moisture from your breath and a little bit of spit is probably going to start to collect down in the bottom of this slide. And that's what this little spring-loaded guy here is for. That's your water key. All you do, open this up and puff a little bit of air down by the mouthpiece. Now, sometimes with the younger guys, their arms aren't long enough. So what you can do is take the slide off gently, take the mouthpiece off, and then take your left hand, put your thumb over that part, and then usually if you put your mouth here, you can get a little bit more length out of that, and then you just empty that. That's a pretty quick way to do it. That's usually how I empty my slide before I put it back in the case. Probably empty your water key every 5 to 10 minutes, depends on how much you're playing. But also, before you put it back in the case, empty it just like that. Thumb there, blow in through there, and that's all you got to do. That's Daily Trombone 101. All right, so now you've been playing for a few days. It's maybe the end of the week. Let's talk about taking care of your trombone on a week-to-week basis. So first thing you're going to want to do is purchase, this is a mouthpiece, brass mouthpiece brush. They're fairly inexpensive, found at your local music shop. And what you're going to do is, in a sink with water, put a little bit of, dish soap on the brush, run it under some, mild, lukewarm tap water. Just give your mouthpiece a good cleaning out. These can get pretty gross sometimes, so it's best to clean these out once a week. Rinse that out, get all the soapy water out, set it aside, let it air dry. That's how you clean your mouthpiece. Next thing you're going to want to do, you take your hand slide, and as I mentioned before, if you're using creams, you want to spray this daily, or if you're using oils, oil it daily. But once a week, I like to take the slide apart, and I like to wipe off the old cream or oil or grease with a soft cloth, and then I just reapply it like I normally would. Again, I like to use this Slido-Mix stuff because it works pretty well. Put a little bit down by the stockings, a little bit up here. Gently put your inner slide back into your outer slide. And that usually works pretty well. And then I'll just give it a little spray. Next thing you're going to want to do, on the bell section, you have your tuning slide. That is right, let me get this in the camera. That's right here. Now, the best and safest way to remove your tuning slide is to take both of your thumbs, grab down here, and push up like this. If this doesn't come out easily, or if it's stuck, don't try and yank it out this way. You can actually, I've seen trombones with these parts just ripped off because people try and tug on it really super hard. Just take your thumbs and push up on that. And depending on how well your trombone is maintained, sometimes these are a little bit easier to pull out, sometimes they're a little bit harder to pull out. But you just want to be gentle with it. Right now I'm just kind of rocking it back and forth, and then there it goes. So here's your tuning slide. Take your soft cloth that you used before and wipe off the old grease. You can see this cloth is getting kind of dirty. it's almost time to give this guy a bath. We'll talk about that in a minute. But then wipe off the old grease, and then take its tuning slide grease. This is super slick tuning slide grease. Other slide greases are available, but you want to make sure you're using tuning slide grease and not hand slide or slide oil or any type of hand slide grease. So tuning slide grease goes on your tuning slide. Hand slide cream or oil goes on your hand slide. So with the tuning slide grease, you just take a little bit on your fingertip. Doesn't take a whole lot. You don't want a whole gob on your fingertip, but take a little bit and apply a thin layer of tuning slide grease like that. And then when you go to put it back in, I like to usually do it this way. I go one at a time. I use the slide itself to kind of help spread it around. And then I'll do this one here. Just like that. And like I said before, sometimes these little tubes won't line up. Usually there's a longer one and a shorter one. But sometimes the tube could be like spread apart, or it's not quite lined up. If it's not going to go back in, don't try and force it. Take it to your local music shop. We can get these slides properly aligned so that it'll go right in, just like this. And again, remember, when you take it out, push on it like that. And you can push and pull with your thumbs. That's the safest way to do that. And other than that, that's how you take care of your trombone on a weekly basis. All right, so monthly trombone maintenance. Let's say it's been a few weeks, maybe a month or so. You've been oiling or lubricating your hand slide. You've been greasing your tuning slide, reapplying new hand slide cream every week. Now let's give your trombone a bath. Now before we get started, you're going to need a few different brushes. Just like before, your mouthpiece brush. And you're also going to need a snake brush. This one's made for trombone. Usually they come wrapped up like this. And you can undo this. And that way you can clean out all these tubes. Now, depending on where you got your trombone, at Arrowhead, I like to install these little plastic slide guards to prevent these very thin-walled hand slides from getting dented. So you can remove these. There's a seam running down the length of this tube. I know it's probably kind of hard to see, but anyways, you just kind of use your thumbs. This takes some practice, but helps if you have fingernails too. Take that. Whoop, there we go. See what I mean? Takes practice. And then you can pull these off. It's pretty much just a plastic tube. Helps your hand slide from getting dented, or not dented as easily. So take these off, set those aside, and then let's go get our tub of water. All right, so I filled this tub up with some lukewarm water. You also could use a bathtub or a sink. I like to use the tubs because there's no drain and I'm not going to lose any small parts down the drain. If you do use a sink or a tub, I'd recommend putting a screen down in the drain just so you don't lose any small parts. You also want to use some mild dish detergent or dish soap. No, don't use any hand soaps with lotions or creams or anything. Just regular, good old-fashioned dish soap. I didn't use any soap in here just so that you could see what I'm doing, but you want the water to be pretty sudsy. And remember, use lukewarm water, not hot water. Hot water can actually damage the lacquer on some finishes. So then you can disassemble your hand slide just like before. Remember, when you pull this out, be gentle with it. That goes in there. And it makes funny bubbly sounds. And then your bell section. Take your tuning slide off, just like before. That can go in the water too. And your bell section can too. Depending on how big your tub is, you might want to do these one at a time, or you can do them all at once. But anyways, with your soapy water, you use your snake brush to clean out your tuning slide. Depending on how often you clean these, you might see some interesting things floating in the water here. But basically, you run that through till it comes out the other side. Do that a few times. You can set that aside. And let's do your inner slide. Again, using the snake brush. Running that through. If you can't submerge the slide, at least, put a little drop of soap on the tip there. And you can just run that through until it pokes out the other end. This trombone itself has already been cleaned, so you're not going to see any gross things floating in the water, hopefully. Do that a couple times on each side. Again, maybe put a little dab of soap on the end of the brush there. Run that through until it pops out the other end. Do that a couple times. Then do your outer slide. Same idea. Now, with your outer slide, this is actually long enough to kind of get around that little bend there. And that's actually a good thing. So you want to clean this as much as you can. Don't shove it in all the way, because then you might not be able to get it back out. But same idea. Put a little bit of soap on the end. Again, I'm not using soap just so it doesn't get all bubbly. And that goes all the way. Now, in some cases, like right now, I can feel I'm pushing the brush in, but it's not wanting to go any further. It's probably stuck on that little the inside of the hole where the water key is. So I don't want to go any further than that. So then I can just pull that back out, and I do the other side. Sorry, I'm trying to get this on the camera here. There we go. And give that a good brushing back and forth. There we go. And you can do the bell section too. Again, maybe get a little bit of the soapy water, clean out this part here, just like that. This part of the bell section doesn't get too dirty, but I at least like to clean this section of it where the tuning slide goes. Because, I mean, once you get past a certain point, you're not going to clean the inside of the giant part of the bell. But anyways, it's still a good idea. Oh yeah, your mouthpiece too. Mouthpiece brush, a little bit of soap, clean that, set that aside, let that air dry. If you're using a tub, I have a dedicated hose and spray attachment, just because I do this a lot. But if you have a bathtub, especially with a detachable shower head, this is really super easy to do. You just, let me turn that down a little bit. You just rinse that off, set that aside, and then just with all the remaining parts, rinse off all the soapy water. Trying not to get my laptop soaking wet. Rinse off the inside. Spray off the outside too. Let me see if I can get this camera angle up just a little bit more. There we go. Spraying off the outside. Rinsing things off. I'm going to set these aside to air dry. Rinsing this out. Cleaning out all the soapy water out of the inside and the outside. Setting it aside, letting it air dry, and then you just do that with the remaining pieces. outer slide. This is going to be full of water, so let that drain. And I really like these hose attachments here because I could just do this. There it goes. Rinse that out. Get all the soapy water off the outside. Letting this dry. And the bell section. Rinsing off all the water off the outside. Spraying this in the bell here too. To the gooseneck. And cleaning the water inside of the bell. Splashing water everywhere. And now I'm just going to let those sit, let them air dry. I'll come back later once everything's nice and dried up. All right, now that my trombone is relatively dry, there might still be a couple drops left here and there. I can use my soft towel to wipe off any remaining droplets. And really, all you have to do now is just reassemble it, just like you did when you were lubricating the hand slide and the tuning slide. Now, sometimes there's still a little bit of water. Sometimes there's still a little bit of water left in the tuning slide. Quick way to empty that, kind of like before. Thumb here, blow through that end. That'll get rid of just about any water you have left. Get a couple little drops here off the bell section here. And like I said before, it's just a matter of reassembling it now. Let's do the bell section first. A little bit of grease on the tuning slide. Sometimes if you put a little bit too much on there, you're going to get a little bit excess right there. You can just use your rag. Just wipe that off. See it happen again. It really doesn't take a whole lot of grease on here. Even with a thin coating, I still have all this excess right there. So then put those two guys together. And that's good to go. Use your preferred method of lubrication on your hand slide. Again, there's tons of different products you can use. I prefer this stuff. Again, not sponsored by them. I just find that it works the best. Give it a little shake. A little bit down here on the stockings. Maybe a little bit more up here. Gently reinsert the inner into the outer. Run that back and forth a couple times. Maybe give a little spray just to keep it moist. And you're pretty much good to go. Now, sometimes after you clean it, there's going to be maybe some fingerprints or some water spots on your bell section or your slide. They do make polishing cloths, and there's specific ones depending on if you have a lacquered finish or a silver-plated finish. Those are two separate types of cloths. You can use those to remove any water spots or fingerprints, but a little trade secret, I just use a little bit of lemon pledge. Now, you don't want to spray the whole instrument. You just get a little bit on a soft cloth, and then you just kind of wipe this down. This will remove any water spots and fingerprints, like I said before, but also it leaves your trombone smelling lemony fresh, which is nice. Get some off the bell section here too. Just wipe this down. Don't forget the inside. And if you got your trombone from us, don't forget hand slide protectors. So I'm just going to open up this little seam here and just slide that on. They're a lot easier to put on than they are to take off. There's one, and then the other one. Again, be careful, especially if your fingers are wet and kind of pruny. These ends can be a little sharp. And you're all set and ready to go. Thanks for watching. All of the supplies I've talked about today can easily be purchased at your local music shop. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact us. All of our information can be found at our website, arrowheadmusicmentor.com. On behalf of Arrowhead Music, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful, and hope you have a good day. Take care.